All right, now it is time to make sure that I actually know how to wire stuff. So we're gonna plug this in and hopefully it doesn't go sparky spark. Ah! The past few years, I've been searching for a larger blasting cabinet because I Cerakote a lot of parts, which means I have to blast everything with 100 grit aluminum oxide. And currently I have a Harbor Freight sandblasting cabinet, which it technically works, but they're pretty small and they're not put together the best. So my Harbor Freight sandblasting cabinet works perfectly fine. The issue with it is it's so small, I can't blast things like these Hemi blocks, wheels, anything larger than pretty much, or exhaust manifolds, pretty much anything that's larger than a head, you can't really fit in here. I did blast the Keller's block and Cerakote it, but it was really a pain to do. The reason is because you only can open this door and stick stuff in, and when it's cast iron blocks, it's really hard to put it in there. When you're Cerakoting it, you don't want, when you pull it out, you don't want the surface to have a bunch of scratches from dragging it out of the cabinet. It would be really nice if Harbor Freight just eliminated this door and just made it so this just opened up. I think that would be a ton better than how they're currently set up. Plus, when you put them together, it's kind of a pain to get this whole, all these bolts around here. Obviously, you're only doing it once, but you have to change these glasses out quite often. And to get all these bolts back here, it's just really a pain to do. So my friend Chris is going to help me actually pick this up because it is quite large and it probably weighs a lot. So we're gonna use the rollback to go get it. And hopefully it's everything that I think it's gonna be. Just got back from getting the blasting cabinet and the guy had a bunch of other stuff. So I ended up getting quite a bit of the things that he had laying around because they actually are gonna come in handy. So I now have this larger blasting cabinet and this thing is huge. So I'm gonna do a comparison really quick. So as you can see, I can stick my arms right in here. I don't have to like lean over. I can look right into the window. This needed a new glass and I went over to my friend Pico's glass company and he cut one out really quick. But if you come over to the Harbor Freight one, and if you're not a midget, these are gonna be kind of a pain to use because as you can see right here, how far the arms are down here. So then I have to like bend down to use it. And if you're blasting something for a really long time bent down like that, I actually use a stool, but you're still kind of bent down. It's not really the best setup. I could put this maybe on a platform or something, but the new blasting cabinet is a lot nicer and it's actually tall. The guy gave me a piece of wood because he's like, oh, here's this big piece of wood so you can stand on it to blast, but it's like perfect for me. So I'm really happy about that. The nice thing is it's already on casters and it has a foot pedal. The issue I had with the Harbor Freight one is it doesn't have a foot pedal and you're pulling the trigger when you're doing blocks and big things like wheels. I haven't done any wheels in here, but things like blocks, or if you're blasting for a really long time and you have to hold the trigger down the whole time. It's just one of those things that really just gets aggravating because it works and you want to get something done, but at the end of the day, it's not working the best it could be. So the one thing I want to do is I want to clean this thing up. I want to put some LED lights in it. I already have that piece of glass. And then in the back, it's kind of cool because it has this huge ram. So when you open it, it's pretty much like effortless. Fluorescent tubes. I just got back from the hardware store getting an LED fixture light, and this is probably the best decision I've ever made because most of the time blasting cabinets, they either have like this super small light bulb that really doesn't illuminate anything, or like this one, it had fluorescent lights in it and they worked a little bit better than I've seen in other blasting cabinets, but wait till you guys see how bright this is. It's like looking into the sun. It's awesome. Oh man, this is the clearest blasting cabinet I've ever seen. This is awesome. If you have a blasting cabinet and you want to put LEDs in it, I would highly recommend doing it. The great thing about this LED fixture is it has these options up here. This was 200 bucks, well worth the price. If I did make and design my own blasting cabinet, I might have some side LED lights, just because when you have a part in there, it's going to cast shadows. So if I have this block in there, if you're trying to blast stuff up here, you're not really gonna be able to see it. But I think this is so bright that that's not going to be an issue because it's probably reflecting light off of, if this cabinet was white, which it probably wouldn't stay white long, it would be reflecting light up. So the cool thing about this is here's the first switch. Oh man, that looks even better. So we don't have that yellowing anymore. Look, it looks all yellow, nice and clear and white. And then we can make it brighter. So it gets even brighter. So I'm probably just gonna leave it on the white setting and then on the brightest setting. You can see the exact reason why I wanted this blasting cabinet. With the lid open, I could easily use an engine hoist to put, or a forklift, to put a heavy engine block in here to blast, which is awesome. All the media is now in the blasting cabinet, and this is probably the most media I've ever put in a blasting cabinet. It was 250 pounds. I probably could have got, maybe another 150 pounds in there. It has a regulator. I don't know exactly what this is. If anybody knows what this thing right here is, I have no clue what it is. Let me know. But it has a foot pedal, which is awesome. Today I have my package from Send Cut Send of parts I designed, and I am going to put my link in the description for a discount code from Send Cut Send so you guys can try them out. They are now also offering CNC aluminum machining services. So if you have a three-dimensional part in a CAD file, you could also send that to Send Cut Send and get it made, which is a huge game changer. The one thing that I love about Send Cut Send is pretty much anything that you send them to have them make, they do it very quickly. They also give you free candy. So if you're addicted to candy, you'll just keep ordering parts and get more candy. And they also give you a bunch of stickers. They also give you a bunch of different brochures that tells you anything that they're doing that's new. And they have a bunch of new stuff coming up, which is going to be awesome. I can't really talk about it, but it's not just the CNC machining service. They're going to be doing a bunch of cool stuff which is gonna help people build even more cool stuff for a lot cheaper, because if you go to any in-state laser cutting places, they're always way more expensive than Sencut Sen. Plus, you can't get parts like this with all the hardware already inserted. So they have hardware insertion now. They also have dimple dies. They have all kinds of forming operations, and it just is getting better and better. And the CNC machining services is just another plus on top of that. But yeah, this, I could have had them powder coat it, but I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted to TIG this edge up. So let's cut this out of here. Now what I need to do is wire up the light housing. I have the switch on the front, outlet on the back, and the in for the cables. So I've unsheathed the 3 wires that you're gonna need, any house wiring for 120, any lights. You need a ground, you need your neutral, and you need a power, which is 120. If you have 2 powers, that's 220. That's how 220 works. So I unsheathed it because I need this power wire. We're gonna come from the cable up to the switch. We're also gonna be grounded at the switch. And then the other wire coming back is going to feed the outlet in the light. So then everything else is just going to connect to the outlet and the light, the neutral and the ground. The ground's also gonna connect to the switch because you want the switch grounded. The whole case is actually gonna be grounded because it's metal, and the switch and the outlet are grounded through the strap, as you can see right here. So you don't get electrocuted. So this whole case will be grounded. That's why I don't have a lug stud or a ground going directly to the case. So the easiest thing to do is to start off with your ground. If you've never done any house wiring, I have some Nip-X pliers right here. I like them because they grab really nice. You're gonna come about a little bit off the end right here, and you're just gonna roll it over like so. And you can just slide this in here, and you're just gonna bend it the rest of the way so it fits. It's pretty simple house wiring. It's literally only 3 or 4 wires. All I have to do is come in here, slip this in here, like so, and screw it down. And I'll have 2 power wires coming from this switch. I could feed in my ground and my switch wires. And bolt everything in. So now the power wire needs to come in. Looks nice. So this is your hot, your ground, your neutral. I'm probably gonna cut all these because they're pretty scroungy. So for this hot right here, this hot needs to go directly to your switch wire, because if you have it go back to this outlet too, or the light, the switch isn't gonna work properly. So what I want is a switch to turn the light on and this outlet on at the same time. So really, all I have to do is do a connection here, and that's all we're gonna have to do for that. So I just got this LED light from the home improvement store, and I designed it pretty simple how it goes in. So we have these tabs right here, and I needed a way to mount this firmly into the housing, so I just had Send Cut Send cut these brackets. Send Cut Send actually cut all this stuff, but it just screws in. I just need to slide this in here. Maybe come out a little bit, slide it over here. There we go. All right, now it is time to make sure that I actually know how to wire stuff. So we're gonna plug this in and hopefully it doesn't go sparky spark. Ah! Jesus! Does the switch work? Oh. It's amazing. That's it. Thing's so bright. You'd almost think that I got electrocuted. Jesus. Is it gonna fit? Did I measure everything right? Be like, why isn't there enough light coming through? It is now time to install this, and I cannot wait to test it. So let's put it in the blasting cabinet. I'll probably try it without the glass in at first, just so I could feel it. I'm also going to pretty much silicone all the way around these edges so it doesn't have any leaks. I don't really think it's gonna matter that much, but it'll just kind of make it a little bit better. The blower motor isn't bolted down yet, and nothing is siliconed or anything like that. And this hole is way too small, but I want to set it up here and see how much air comes out of it with all the leaks that it's going to have, because it's a pretty slim little groove right here. So it should hopefully push some air. If I can get this in here. Definitely can feel it. I think it's gonna work really good once it's all sealed up. I'm leaking air. Pretty much, this first turn is leaking pretty much all the air out of it. The little guide right there is pushing some air out of it, but we're leaking most of it because nothing's silicone. The blasting cabinet is 100% set up. I want to do a few different things eventually. I want to put some sort of vacuum, permanent vacuum on it. I might build it into the back just to catch media, and maybe so it redeposits it back into the blasting cabinet, or maybe I'll just leave it so it just leaves it in the vacuum. This old Rigid I've had since probably almost high school, and this thing has worked okay for a very long time. I've vacuumed a lot of cars out with it, but I've been using it for a blasting cabinet for a very long time, so I don't think it's the best anymore, and I have a replacement vacuum I need to install and do a video on anyway. But now that the blasting cabinet is all set up, we have nice new glass in here. I mean, the light in this thing is really nice. I'm probably gonna have to upgrade this blower motor. So I don't think this is putting out enough air. I think it's a 1/8 horsepower. I think if I put a 1 horsepower in here, I could probably not even have a vacuum, because it would just push all the media or whatever dust is in there into like a bucket with a filter on it. So how I'm gonna test this is I taped a piece of tape in there, and the sticky side is up. And what's happening is air is being pushed. You can feel there's like a little buffer area. So air is being pushed along the glass. And other than this being a really weak motor up here and not blowing very hard, I mean, I can feel the air all the way across this, and it feels pretty decent. But I think if I had a 1 horsepower one of these on here, it'd probably be perfect. So let's try it. I'm gonna blast. I have something I've been wanting to blast for a little bit. I need to blast this front cover off that burned down Trackhawk, because I'm gonna use it on the 426, and then I'll be able to see if if any media or how much media is hitting the glass with that piece of tape. So let's blast. I probably won't blast the whole thing. We'll see how good it works. Maybe I will blast the whole thing, but yeah, this is gonna be the test of the blasting cabinet glass force field. Oh, I probably won't blast too long because I didn't have enough stuff to do a seal all the way around. So I almost have it, but the stuff that I got for the bottom didn't really stick that well. So I'm gonna have to find some of the stuff that I got for the glass, because this stuff, it worked really good. And I think that will help me out a lot too. So let's try her out. And I really like this whole setup too. On, off, works perfect. I blasted pretty much all of this. Some media started getting out of the side, so I stopped, but works really nice. I like this media. I like this cabinet. And the great thing is, you can see there's dust on the glass. But when I was blasting it and blasting into crevices, you could see it blowing it away because the air is coming down. So it's blowing it off of the glass, or keeping a buffer between the glass and this right here. There's dust. I need to work on that vacuum. But the media, maybe I should. So here's the piece of tape, and there's some media on it, but I would say it's definitely helping. So I think what needs to happen, especially for how long I blasted and getting in all the crevices, I think what I need to do is get a 1 horsepower motor, and we'll have a lot more air rushing across the glass. I really think it's gonna end up helping not having to change the glass so often. Obviously, the light was a success, because now I've never had a blasting cabinet where I could see this well in it. Even when it's full of dust, at first I had the vacuum and it wasn't actually sucking very well. I need to do something about this whole vacuum situation. I really like the foot pedal, not having to hold a trigger. One thing that I want to do that's not currently on this blasting cabinet is I want to put a control to be able to dial in the media, so I'm not using so much media, because with this blasting media, it says to dial it down, you don't need as much media per, as much media to air ratio. So I guess it works a lot better if it's a little bit lean on the media. So I'm gonna try that, but there is no, right now there is nothing really to regulate that. So I'm gonna have to fix that so it works, and then I could just go and blast stuff. And the great thing is I'm 6'8", and this is like the perfect size blasting cabinet for me. I've never had a blasting cabinet where I could just go and stick my arms in and not have to bend over. This is like the perfect setup. I'm so happy with this thing. And if I can get this to work a little bit better, I actually think it's working pretty well as it is, but I think a better motor will improve this. Couldn't be happier with how this came out. Big shout out to Send Send. I'm really pleased at how well the new blasting cabinet came out, or new to me blasting cabinet, because this is a used blasting cabinet. I'm super excited that I got it for such a good deal. I couldn't believe nobody else jumped on this deal, because this thing is huge. I mean, I could stick 2 Hemis in it and blast both of them. And it just is so, you know, it's such a big upgrade over the Harbor Freight blasting cabinet. They do work, but they work at the expense of your back because they're so small. They're made for like somebody that's like 4'9", and I even think somebody that's 4'9" would be too tall to use it, and they'd still be killing their back. But now I'm 6'8", and this thing is the perfect size for me. Plus, the whole thing with getting this is that the whole front opens, and I could use an engine hoist if I want a Cerakote block, and I could just lower it down in there, and then I don't have to be smashing it through like this little tiny door and then having to hopefully not scuff it as I'm bringing it out and dragging it out. This way I could just open it, lift it up. It just is another plus on my back, because I don't have to have my whole arm extended in the blasting cabinet like I did with the Harbor Freight blasting cabinet, and see if it improves how much media is hitting the glass. Like I said, I think I'm gonna have to obviously replace the glass, but if it could cut down on the amount of times I have to replace it by months instead of weeks or days, depending on how much you use the blasting cabinet, especially production shops that do a lot of Cerakoting, I'm sure they go through a ton of glass or the reusable tears. So I don't have any of the reusable tears, so I think this is gonna really work out, and hopefully this gave a lot of people a good idea. I probably should trademark it or patent it or whatever you want to say, but at this point, it just really is gonna change the blasting industry, because I can't believe nobody else has thought of this, to put forced air across the glass. And I was almost thinking about using the compressed air to do it, and I was like, man, your compressor would be working a lot. And then I was like, I could just use a blower, and it's only 120 volt. And then the LED light, we're probably using the same amount of power that we were using with the fluorescence. So I'm gonna end the video here. If you guys like these videos or have any suggestions to add to my blasting cabinet, throw a comment below, give it a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and as always, see you guys next time.